Hello. That was indeed all too well. Please let me know if you can hear me because this is a new microphone. I decided to finally splurge because I was using like a Shure SM58 for years. That was secondhand and never the best. But look, I think I probably sound really good. I could turn on. Um, let me hear myself. Yeah, no white noise. Isn't that wonderful? How is everyone today? By the way, I'm actually using a dual screen setup for the first time, so I have things up here to read, and then I could actually keep track of you guys down here without looking at my phone every 3 seconds. So, that's helpful for not getting distracted. So, it is a submission stream day. Um, there are things to celebrate today about some chat members, and when they show up, I will say what those things are. We did have a bunch of original submissions, which is great. And I just want to say the reason why I played All Too Well. First of all, new Taylor album in October announced. And secondly, a thing I like to say is that if pop music is so easy to write, give me something better than "And you call me up again just to break me like a promise so tragically was you call me up again just to break me like a promise." First of all, so casually cruel in the name of being honest. If you give me something better than that, then you can tell me that pop music's easy to write. All right, mic's a little quiet. Yeah, I'll turn it up a couple decibels. I think that the idea that pop music is easy to write is a fallacy. I think that you are also as equally likely to write like the worst thing ever as you are equally likely as you are to write the best thing ever. Like I think if you sat down and wrote a pop song and like really put your heart into it, you have an equal chance of writing Blank Space or Enemy by Imagine Dragons. I think some songs are just very special. I'm a big Swiftie because, she's one of the greatest songwriters alive, and you can argue with me on that. Music is hard to make. Okay, my take is that I think good music, just decent average music, is pretty easy to make. Great music is really hard to make. I think music making is a huge difficulty curve because to get like, a basic song, that's easy enough, right? But to actually make something that's like memorable and special, that's a lot harder. Because like, yeah, I can bang out some pop chords if I wanted to, but will it be special? Who knows? I mean, I think I'm good, but I look great, I sound great, things are going great. I'll give it another minute, see who else turns up. This has been going for 9 minutes. As usual, I never expect like a huge crowd for the submission streams because it's like really niche. And I'm not a huge channel and I haven't put out anything recently, so YouTube does not push me. But considering that I've been suffering from a medical condition, I'm not, really losing sleep over it. I have been slowly editing the video. I've been working on. It's just going to take a while. All right, it's 10 minutes. So we got a lot of original submissions, which is always very nice. We got someone who goes by AV who wrote this called, oh my god, it's sort of blinded by light mode. How am I? I'm doing pretty well, all things considered, I actually had some like breakthroughs recently, um, in terms of my health. So uh, things are improving at least. The day I found your channel, I literally watched every single video. That means a lot. Um, I'm really trying to get back into it because it's what I love doing, and I really do want to like break down songs again. My next video is going to be breaking down Little Mermaid, like the original. Uh, and that's a lot of fun because I get to talk about what's actually really good instead of what's wrong with everything. And I know the what's wrong with everything videos get more views, but I also just have to like live my truth and enjoy what I'm doing. Um, and I really think that there's a lot to learn from, like the really, really good stuff beyond just, hey, this rhymes or this doesn't rhyme. There's a lot going on in what makes like a truly excellent set of lyrics. So this is the pawn strings from the POV of a chess pawn. I want to start out by saying I like that. I like abstract concepts. I think it's really important for people to learn that, even if you're doing like musical theater songwriting and you want things that are more concrete because you're like telling a concrete story. Um, I think it is really important to learn how to work with the abstract because feelings are not concrete, right? And what you're trying to communicate are emotions at the end of the day. Like the difference between writing a technical paper about an engineering project and writing a story is what you're trying to communicate. For an engineering paper, you're trying to communicate information. For a story, you're trying to communicate experience. And the best way to communicate experience is through the emotions you feel during that experience. So there are people who find it kind of like a waste of time. If I said, write a song from the POV of a chess pawn, some people might have trouble getting it, and I understand that, but I really think that it's an important thing to work with also for the sake of metaphor and, allegory. So I'm going to get going here. The first line of defense, but I'm first out of mind. No one's priority, always being left behind. Now, if I didn't know what this was about, like here's the important thing, right? If I didn't know what this was about, you are still giving me like a scenario to start with. Obviously, this is a reference to how the pawns are in front of the like more major pieces in chess, and also like the ones that people care about the least. So you see this, and you're like, even if you're not making the chess connection, it's still like apparent what type of song this is about somebody who feels underappreciated, right? Offer me up to die, distraction in disguise. The only thing I am is just a sacrifice. I would say that this is a little clunky because, like, you. Sorry. When you're writing out couplets in particular, you have to, like, in stanzas, really, you have to read them out also as sentences. Like, does this make sense as a sentence? Um, only only thing I am is just a sacrifice is technically grammatically correct, but at the beginning, the only thing I am is just a sacrifice, but the word only and the word just serve the same purpose in this sentence, in that you are saying that this is the one thing that this is, right? So it would either be the only thing I am is a sacrifice, or I am just a sacrifice. You have to choose between those two. Um, Offer me up to die, distraction in disguise is also an interesting turn of phrase. Because distraction and disguise kind of have like a similar, not a similar meaning, but you're trying to say the same thing. Here, like a distraction usually, this says, oh, hello, Roaster. So here's our first thing to celebrate today. Welcome back, Roaster just graduated Coast Guard basic training. Really exciting. Really happy for you. I'm glad to have you back. Because I'm trying to think about offer me up to die, distraction in disguise. Like, I'm trying to think what that means. It's there's like that phrase where it's like, I understand what you're trying to say, but I also understand you didn't say it. Offer me up to die, distraction in disguise. I think the idea is that, you are just the distraction, so you don't have to put in disguise. You just have to find something else to put there. Because the pawn is just like you can put out a pawn to be taken for like a low consequence move. And sacrificing pawns is a very common strategy in chess. I had a chess phase when I was like 7 or 8, and I was pretty good at it. I haven't played in a long time though. I'm not a person, just one of the pieces, something to push around as she pleases. So don't bat an eye, sending me to die. I think this works. I think it's a bit on the nose, but because the theme hasn't been established yet, like the allegory hasn't been established yet, I think it's fine to put here because you're kind of, this is the pre-chorus, you're kind of gearing us up to the point of the song. I like to think of the pre-chorus as like the question, and then the chorus is like the answer. Like even if the pre-chorus isn't literally a question, it's like the thing being posed, and then the chorus gives like the response. I feel so small in the grand scheme of things, a pawn in the game of queens and kings. Only thing I do is dance to her whims as she moves me like a puppet on strings. So here's like a suggestion. I would switch the chorus and the pre-chorus, because the pre-chorus feels more like the perspective asking the question, like kind of putting out their emotion. Like how do I phrase this? Putting your emotions out there, the narrator's emotions out there. Whereas the pre-chorus feels more like the realization. So if you did, here's how I feel. Starting with I feel is again a little on the nose, but I'm not going to get like too deep into this. I try to kind of like feel out where each person is with the lyrics they send in, so I'm not too harsh or too like easy on them. Because if you say, okay, I feel like this, and then that's first, and then second is I'm not a person, just one of the pieces, something to push around as she pleases. That feels more final and absolute. It's again, it's the realization. It's like the thesis, and that should be the chorus. Oh, we have a post-chorus. I might die first because I'm expendable, or die last because I'm not that valuable. If you are wondering if these rhyme, they do not, but they also don't really have to in a post-chorus. I find post-chorus to be like you can do more with them. I think there's fewer kind of like not rules, because I don't like using the word rules. There's kind of fewer like boundaries because they're not used very often. Post choruses usually are kind of sung, like, I mean, obviously sung. Post choruses usually feel more like a la la la, or like repeating a word, as opposed to adding more information, because I don't think that this post chorus is really adding that much. It's already kind of saying was stated by the what we are now calling the pre-chorus. I'm a puppet on strings, right? It's an interesting concept though, like you might be first to die or last to die, because people don't care either way. I would try to put that in like the verse instead, because I think that's really interesting. Or even a bridge. Like that's a really good thing for a bridge, because it's asking another question. Like again, posing that other idea. And it can function as like the sub-thesis, which also I use in bridges. It's like a bridge, it is kind of I have this term I've started using called like the gag of the song, where it's like the part that gags you, where it's like, oh, that really got me. That could be a good like gag if you reworded it to be a little more concise, a little more like rhymed like with better word choice, I think it could be really good. Um, it could even be a repeated bridge. Like just say those lines twice. Really, really hammer it home. Want to be left alone, stop playing with the pawn, want to be like the queen, powerful, free, and strong. This I would say is too on the nose because it's like you can kind of already imply that's what this person, what the narrator wants. Uh, I would also say it doesn't really work with the theme because pawns are generally like everyday people. Um, so I feel like saying that, oh, I want to be like the queen is like it's like too obvious, if that makes sense. It's the opposite is too strong. Um, my ticket to freedom, the power of the crown. One day I'll have it. I'll make her bow down. Like here's what's kind of bothering me about this is that you have the, oh, I want to be like the queen, I want to be powerful, but then it's, I don't want to fight in this endless war. If you want it, and that contradicts the idea of like, oh, I want to be powerful and control people, because usually that means you are, you know, kind of continuing the cycle of controlling people and using them to your whims. It's, that's what it is. It feels hypocritical. And if that's what you want to do, you could just build off that second verse, like what you call verse 3 and 4 here. Um, I would not personally, or rather, like I don't think it's smart to just immediately contradict that. I would build off it and just hammer home how like, you know, people who feel pushed around can just become the people they hate, you know, like something like that. He who fights monsters, etc. Again, I would replace this with that first pre-chorus here, and again switch around this chorus to be the pre-chorus. Gonna break free, improve, I'm stronger, not gonna listen to her any longer. Weaving my strings of fate, destiny I'll create. Destiny I'll create. Do not reverse the do not reverse the form of like clauses. I don't think that ever works, except in like very specific circumstances. Don't like Yoda your sentences. Uh, Stronger and longer. Also, just in general, I'm not a huge fan of that rhyme. Like, some rhymes can just be really cliched. Uh, and this is like, and I don't know, want to know how pedantic I can get, but I don't know. It just feels trite. Like it feels passe. Like gonna break free, improve, I'm stronger, not gonna listen to her any longer. Like there's just more interesting ways to say that. Overlapping voices of the Grandmaster robotic voice and the pawn normal voice. So stop controlling my life. I won't take anymore. I'm gonna let you use me. Have I won? Times are changing. I'm not the same. I won't be a pawn in anyone's game. It's time for my reign power in my veins. I'm important in the grand scheme of things, no longer a pawn. I'm next to the king. But even though I still dance to her whims, I'm a queen, not her puppet on strings. So here's kind of like what I'm saying about how like this has become hypocritical, and if you want to address that, I think that works. But it's not really being addressed. It you know, this would be like a fun power metal song if you really went that direction. I don't know if that was your goal though. Because I understand the reference in chess that if you get the pawn to the other side of the board, it functions like a queen. So like if you really wanted to make this song more interesting, I think it would be the idea of again like he who fights monsters, right? I think that'd be an interesting way to take it, because right now there's not really like, there is a story to the song. I would not say there's like a point to the song. Does that make sense? Um, there's no escaping the Grandmaster. She's my jailer. No getting past her. That's a good rhyme at least. Master and past her. And then if you know, I also see you're saying that it's like the queen isn't the one really in control either. I think this is like fine as is. I just think there's a lot of directions this could be taken in to like elevate it into something really interesting. So good work. Um, somebody sent it who just went by Heya. It was like a very like generic email, um, like some maybe something they created just for this. And it is a wish rewrite, which I've decided. You know what? If you can't beat them, join them. Right? I'm just gonna start reviewing these two. It is some rewrite like they're saying they want it to be like an overture where you don't know who's singing it, and I'm a big fan of overtures. If I'm being honest, I love when there's some sort of like nebulous and mysterious and esoteric overture to a musical or even just like a non-musical movie. I'm a huge sucker for it. So, when the stars fall from the heavens, can you tell them apart from the people in your life with the brightest of hearts? So, yeah, which rewrites are back. I think that this kind of goes back to my thing. Like, there are more interesting things you could do with this metaphor. I see what you are saying, but I think that there is more imagery you can use there. Um, than just saying like, oh, the stars. Because again, think about this as like a phrase, right? Like the real part of a paragraph. When the stars fall from heavens, can you tell them apart from the people with the biggest hearts, the brightest of hearts, right? I see what it's doing. It's saying that like people with bright hearts shine as bright as the falling stars. Um, I just think that there are more interesting. Again, there's just more like a lot of this. Like there's just more interesting things to do because it works functionally. Um, it would also depend on like what the theme you're going for is. Because can you see all my secrets for the first time? Can you read my soul better than my mind? So go catch your destiny. Don't let it fade. Night doesn't last forever, so you better give chase. Don't make me wait. For an overture, this is actually okay. There's more. Like an eclipse on the brightest day, do you let your worries blind you from the light in an instant? Hold on. In an instant, close the distance. I like that internal rhyme because it adds a little more momentum to this like second verse of sorts. Um, and what you can't see comes into your sight. So I like the internal rhyme, closing the distance doesn't remove the eclipse. You see what I mean? Like the physical like the physical metaphor does not really make that much sense here. Um, you even when you're using metaphor, it does have to work to some extent, like in a logical physical way. And I think that's what kind of gets me about the first um like four lines is I guess it is okay. It's just it's not really like establishing. It's not really established elsewhere. I don't know if this because your first line here is being used as a thesis, which is good. That's fine for an overture because it's like the first thing you hear in the theoretical musical. I think there's something more interesting vocabulary wise than brightest of hearts. I think is what's getting me. That we've heard this type of phrase a lot. And in an overture, you really want that imagery to shine because if you're going to be esoteric and abstract, like just go all out. Give me imagery, something I can really like tangibly envision because humans are visual creatures. Like in our minds, that is where we keep everything is in visuals. Even for people who can't like visualize things in their mind, that's just how we think of things. We are remembering the descriptors visually. So if you're doing like stars falling from the heavens, that's a good start. I'm thinking of things such as, the lights of the kingdom, maybe, or the shine in someone's eyes. Also kind of cliche, but it's fine. Um, give me something to really hold on to that I can like feel in here. It's it's hard to explain. Because when I wrote an overture to like an album I was working on, it was also star themed, and the opening lines were "little lights against the night, countless, a million places out of reach around us." And that's that. The imagery of that is obvious. Of, here's this huge big world and we are little people in it. There has to be a point to the imagery. Let's keep going. Failure makes you suffer, no effort makes you wonder. Are you worth letting go? What? When you're what? Wait, failure makes you suffer, no effort makes. So where is this coming from? Failure makes you suffer, no effort makes you wonder. That's also just not really how that phrase works, I don't think. Usually the phrase is that like you learn from your failures, and putting in no effort is worse. Like it's better to have tried and failed than to not have tried at all. Are you worth letting go? When your dreams end, you start to pretend you don't still have a soul? So I ask you, can I see all your secrets for the first time? Will you bare your soul if I show you mine? Like that's a. So I ask you, can I see all your secrets for the first time? Will you bare my soul if I show you mine? That's like the question of this overture, and I'm going to be using that word a lot. This is like the point of the overture is this nebulous voice saying like, can you show me who you are? Because I assume this is the rewrite version where like there's the star boy or whatever. So asking the protagonist and the audience as well, right? This is the overture. You're asking the audience as well, that it's like, if you open up your heart, I will show you who I am too. And I always like when it's like a question to the audience as well. This is not a musical, but my favorite video game ever, Final Fantasy VI, the Game Boy Advance translation opens up with something like that, where it's talking about this war of 1,000 years ago. And it ends with, would anybody truly be foolish enough to make that mistake again, or something like that. And I like that because it's the question posed to the narrative and to the audience. Like I would just cut it here, like after if will you bear my soul if I show you mine, and just let the instrumentals play out. Final Fantasy VI mention. Thank you. That's my fiance who just commented. I wish I could like heart a message. Let's do this. Maybe she'll respond with that little emote. So the next is Lauren Rogers with the Full Metal Alchemist fan song. I know that Lavender Whale in chat loves this song, and I assume that she's friends with Lauren, and that's how this happened. So that is exciting. I think that's really cute and fun. I'm going to, there's the emoji. I'm going to reattach my headphones are on, but they're off. Like they're on my head, but they are turned off because there's nothing coming through them. Excuse me. So let me do that. And hopefully this is actually on the second monitor, so hopefully it plays through my headphones. Okay, it is. Stuff in the corner. Yeah, cover stuff up. Hold on, I want to. I'm stupid. I clicked on Streamlabs instead of this. Okay. Oh yeah, I can full screen it. Sure. Okay. So I haven't watched Full Metal Alchemist in a hot minute, but I do remember this being the best pairing in the show, even when I was like 14. So you're at my side, and yet I'm so alone. I like that. This is visuals. This is visuals. This is motion and visuals. Stained with the sins for which we can't atone. Visuals. Rose gold all and on. You've been my constant all along. Okay, so I'm stupid. I'm clicking Streamlabs again. I want to get like my thoughts together about um, whether. Okay, so it's not in the description, but here's what I mean about like there's the sentence makes sense, like the paragraph makes sense, right? So it's um you're at my side and yet I'm so alone. Like that goes into trying to resist the urge to reach out for your hand. Those are that is a sentence. That here is like one statement and here is like the clause. Or I don't know if that's the grammatical term, but there is something that is actually lining up with that. Like I think sometimes people have the issue where the lines are too disconnected. And then with reach out for your hand, stain with the sins for which we can't atone. That is also a continuation of the previous line, like just how it is structured. So it feels more like a conversation because it is not just a collection of phrases. Yeah, if you are on live, it recommends you're live in the sidebar, which is funny. Stained with the sins for which we can't atone. The road goes on and on. You've been my constant all along. I like that's an interesting rhyme scheme to not rhyme the end. Like the end of it does not rhyme with one of the first three lines here, but it has an internal rhyme, which means that it just ends very nicely. Lavender, if your friend could send like the lyrics, assuming they're not in the comments. They are not in the comments, I am sad. So I have to keep pausing. So many things I wish to say to you. Like again, I like this for a like romantic song that there's the conversational nature of it than to make all your pain disappear. So because we have the instrumentals here, I can actually talk about how this is working with the music. So this sounds sorry. So we have this like break for stanza 1, stanza 2. And then we have a difference, which separates it from the first thing. Now, I think I'm trying to decide if I like the lack of distance between this and the previous stanza. I think it can work if you are trying to make it sound more emphatic. I say I think a lot because I feel like if I don't, people will. Oh, you don't hear the music? Okay, that's a problem. Oh, if you don't have audio output on, usually that makes people upset. It makes this thing upset. Do you hear now? Yep, there it is. I'm stupid, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. It's literally monitoring at the bottom, I should have seen it. So I'm gonna let this play out because it won't get my stream copyrighted, which is lovely. Okay, so you're going to hear this like A part, right? So we hear this nice, it does not rhyme with the previous, but it's a very nice, soft landing for the stanza. So this sounds similar to the first part. So like the first two lines. And then this like fourth line. And this is where there's like the lack of distance, and I'm thinking there could have. Oh. Okay, so there is like. That's interesting that there's like this kind of tail line after that stanza. And I'm trying to decide if I like that. because then there is distance after this.
You're the spark that lights.
And with that, those like hits on the lower register of the piano, that feels like something that could have been more elaborated on. Now this song's already 5 minutes, so maybe not. But with a little more build up before you go back into the higher register, into the quiet part, I think that could be really cool, because then it makes the contrast more jarring.
My fire, but I swear I'll never let you burn. When you made your choice all those years ago, I knew too I always would return.
So we have that last line's a little strange because it is the inverted sentence structure. To you I know, well, to you I knew I always would return. It's less egregious because like the word return can be placed at the end more easily than other things. I think it works better. We've talked before about this, how some verbs need like a preposition afterwards, and some don't. And you know, if you said like to you I run, it would be strange. But then other verbs, like to you I return, doesn't feel as weird. Is this already an existing musical part, or is this the original? I did not consider that. I think this is an original piano piece. Okay, yeah. Because for a second I didn't know, like maybe it was taken from like an OST from the show.
Stay alive, 'cause leaving you's the worst thing I could do. For even into hell I'd follow you.
Okay. So there's our chorus, or like our title. So that's our chorus. Even into hell I'll stay alive, because leaving is the worst thing I could do.
For even into hell I'd follow you.
What I'm trying to decide, it's another thing I say a lot, because I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I'm trying to decide if I want this sentence, like if I would have this sentence structure the same or not, because even into hell is the title, and that does not mean it has to be at the end of a line, but it is a much more distinct set of words than I'd follow you. So if it's I'd follow you even into hell, even like for I'd follow you even into hell feels more, I used this word last, like in the last song, the couple songs ago, it feels more absolute. It feels like more of a strong statement if it's at the end there. I follow you even into hell, and you hear it more as the listener because it's more distinct. And I also think that like even into hell has like it's not a plosive, so it doesn't have a strong like sonic quality to it, but the word carries a stronger connotation than I'd follow you. Like into hell is a very strong thing to say. And the other side of me thinks that if you want, again, the soft landing, you would keep it like this. So it depends on the emotion. And I have not watched Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood since I was like 15 years old. I could not tell you what is more fitting for these characters. I could guess. I have vague memories.
Each day I try to want to stay alive.
Okay. This is Riza's side.
The strength to see myself with hope instead of hate, but still I know.
Hold on, I kind of missed
Myself
that.
with hope instead of
Okay.
hate, but still I
Still I know.
We'll never see the day when we can leave this all behind. Your hand in mine, oh, I'd gladly surrender.
So what we have there is something I call a tail syllable, which can be used for a couple things. Here it is used for the sake of momentum. Momentum is something that is not discussed but very important. And one thing that can affect momentum is the space between lines. When you add a tail syllable, you reduce the space between lines, therefore keeping the momentum more. If this song was starting to build up instrumentally, I know this is just a piano piece, so you could only do so much. But let's say there was like drums or not electric guitar, but like an acoustic guitar or a string section. If that was starting to play up more here, having the smaller space between that line and this line makes it feel a little more rhythmically different. And again, just that momentum, the little bit of not actual speed, but you feel like there's a little more speed. You feel like the lyrics are carrying more consistently, leading into each other better. Because there's again that little like half second less time to breathe. It can just feel like it keeps going more nicely. Like the concept of momentum that like a ball rolling down a hill just keeps gaining momentum until you stop it. So similarly, if the lyrics keep going just a little longer, there's just a little more build. So like if you want to hear it one more time. Oh, did I mute it by accident? Yeah.
I know we'll never see the time
So there's the space.
when we can live this
It's all behind your hand in mine, oh I gladly surrender myself to you. It just feels a little nicer. Feels like the ball rolling down the hill. Also, hello Daisy and happy birthday. That is the other exciting thing we are celebrating today is Daisy's birthday. This is the reason I'm streaming. I was like considering it, and then in the server, it was like she was like, oh, that day's gonna be my birthday. I'm like, well, no, I have to stream. I can't say no to that. Since someone asked on Discord, can drafts be posted in submissions too? I mean, I don't see why not. I have a lot of submissions that I'm gonna get through, so I don't know if I'd get through all of them. But yeah, momentum is a really interesting concept. And that's also like internal rhymes can affect momentum. I really do think of it as like a something that is like driving or moving or being pulled even, and as you start and stop, it can start and stop. That sometimes it just feels like the melody is begging you to go that extra syllable.
Our innocence is gone, yet we still must soldier
on.
our lives.
And there's another one there. I would have to see the actual lyric sheet to see if it's different from the first verse in terms of like the sheer count of syllables in the meter being used. But it's the same concept. This verse is a little more, for lack of a better word, lively. So the extra syllables gives it a more lively feeling, even though the tempo has not changed.
I will protect you from yourself, for you are all that I have left to hold on to.
I like that.
And if I stand too close to fire, I've always known I might get burned.
It's good.
But I made my choice all those years ago.
There we go.
That to you, I always would return.
There we go.
And if
There we go.
you ever leave me, then you know I'm coming too. For even into hell, I'd follow you. I'd give you a home.
He has a really nice voice.
I'd give you the things we know deep down we don't deserve.
So this might be a tempo change. It's definitely a rhythm change, which makes it interesting. I want to listen to that again, like because this is going too fast for me to like pick up individually what's being said and really think about it, which is actually good sometimes in songwriting. But when you do that, it has to just sound good. It has to just work. So let's see if it's just working. That works. That works. It sounds good to me. That was a nice vocal run. I would Um, show you my instinct. Instinctually, I thought that was gonna be hold you or told you. Like, love you feels like it was not the right rhyme. Like, it's not a rhyme, and that's fine, but it feels like it was kind of begging to end on that rhyme for like the like way it would just kind of feel like conclusive and nice. Especially, I know it's not perfect between show and hold, but hold has the plosive at the end. It stops very nicely.
Yet I am not alone, for I know I can count on you to keep me in my
It goes from 85 to 68. So is it just double timing on 68? Is this a key signature? Hold on. Are we key signature changing? Yeah, I think that's 4/4. It's just an interesting rhythm.
Stay strong for me.
Definitely has a really nice voice. Oh, you have the sheet music. I'd be really interested to hear, I mean, like the little fan art at the end. I'd be really interested to hear what this sounds like with the like male voice to balance it out. Like this is like mixing brain coming in, but it's like, oh, what would this sound like with the lower register and the higher register? Because this person clearly can go pretty high. I can't tell what somebody's range is just by listening to them sing one song, or just by listening to them without having a piano in front of me to play, because I do not have a good ear for this. But I mean, if she's going into like mezzo range, if you had like a baritone to balance her out, I think that would sound really interesting. And obviously, she's not going to do that because that's, you know, anatomical limits do exist. But I would just be like curious to hear that. I think the song's greatest strength is the conversational nature of it. When you are doing a duet, especially one that is romantic, that is when you want the language to be more plain, even if it's like really emphatic and really like, you know, almost over like melodramatic. If it is conversational, if these are sentences that just work on their own, I think that is the ideal, because that's how you talk to someone. You know what I mean? I wonder how much latency is on this. I feel like I didn't do low latency on this stream, so I might be like 30 seconds behind. It's fine. Because I feel like a trap that a lot of people fall into sometimes is that they are getting too abstract because they're trying to throw in a rhyme or they're trying to be a little fancy. But the songs that I find to be most effective, if you're trying to go like, you know, I'm yelling to my loved one emotional, it's just kind of plain language. It's a balance. It really is situational. Recently I decided to write. To be clear, this is not something to happen to me, but I was writing like not like a breakup song, but just like a heartbreak song. My heart is not broken. I'm very happy. I was like, what? Doing like a heartbreak song, and it was very plain language, because that's just what worked. And I wanted to try writing something really raw, and it was a lot of fun. What I think I save the more abstract language for when somebody's talking about like their own emotions, like it's an internal monologue. I would say like an example in a musical, Part of Your World versus Under the Sea, because I've been thinking about Little Mermaid a lot recently. Like Part of Your World has some kind of more interesting, it has the language is equally as interesting as Under the Sea, but it is definitely more, just again, I keep saying it, more abstract. There's some less, there's fewer complete thoughts. it's a little confused sounding, which obviously works for what's being said, but part of your world is also like very introspective. Whereas Under the Sea is the opposite of introspective, and it's Sebastian trying to convince Ariel of something, so the language he uses just works like sentence to sentence. Yeah, that was good. I like that. She has a beautiful voice. I'm almost out of tea. I've been going a long time. And we're only on like song 4. But it's okay. I'm willing to be here for a long time. And speaking of Lavender, because I was Lavender's friend. It's Lavender's friend. Sorry, it's like a joke me and my fiance have where it's like, that's Pikachu's friend. So this is Lavender's friend, and this is Lavender. A tea refill break. Oh no, I'm not gonna give myself more caffeine. This was straight black tea. So Lavender gave me the Miles Edgeworth song. I believe that's what this is. And I'm a huge Ace Attorney fan, and so is my fiance. I introduced it to her. I played Ace Attorney for the first time when I was like 16 years old, and then I didn't play it for many years. And then when I was 25, maybe I was already 26. No, I was 25. It was last year, and I asked my fiance if she wants to finally play the series, and we've been going through that. I like this series even more as an adult because there's a lot of nuance and a lot of really interesting perspectives and characters and stories. So I am already biased towards the song, is what I'm trying to say. Nightmares emerge where our memories lapse, not staunching the wound, but filling the gaps. For 5,000 nights, I've only had one dream, 15 years of my ears ringing with the same scream. What really occurred in those hours without air, I can't know for certain, but each night I'm there. So what's I'm focusing on is 15 years of my ears ringing with the same scream. I'm deciding if that internal rhyme is in place. Nightmares emerge where memories lapse, not staunching the wound, but filling the gaps. For 5,000 nights, I've only had one dream. 15 years of my ears. You see where it like messes up the meter? 15 years of my ears. For 5,000 nights, I've had only one dream. 15 years of my ears. It's like in the wrong spot of the sentence. Or of the line, rather. For 5,000. For 5,000, it's the fourth syllable. Nights. For 5,000 nights. 15 years of my ears. It's like the fourth or fifth syllable, and the ears is on the sixth. So I think it's like doesn't, it's like off balance. Would I like some water? I actually have water. I might ask you for an electrolyte packet. That would be nice, thank you. And she's gonna hear that and like after the 30-second delay. I do like, again, that it is putting us in a scene, but it's not revealing its hand yet. It's giving us that little preview into what's going on here. Each night I'm there because death is my dole. In sleep when my mental defenses are weak, each night lays bare the red brand on my soul, the secret not even a spirit would speak. That's a nice bit of lore referenced. Not even a spirit would speak. That is lore relevant to case 1-4, and like the fourth case of the first game. Which like I don't even know if it should be like spoiler free at this point. Everybody knows it. Everyone knows what happens in that case. This is the whole thing about there was a spirit medium involved in the original incident that Edgeworth was involved in. So the spirit would not the spirit medium channeled somebody, and the person like, was it that they like give the wrong name or wouldn't give the name or something? I don't obsess over case 1-4 as much as I do 2-4 or 1-5 or 3-5 or 3-4. So that's my demon. So in each night I'm there because death is my dole. In sleep when my mental defenses are weak, each night lays bare the red brand on my soul, the secret not even a spirit would speak. That feels rhythmically correct. He has the wrong name or something like that. Each night I'm there because death is my... Like, you see there's a certain rhythm to that. In sleep when my mental defenses are weak, each night lays bare the red brand on my soul, the secret not even a spirit would speak. You really have to think about that in its meter. When you don't have the words, it's harder for me to know if something is being held an extra beat or not being held an extra beat or being like shoved in there, because those things can work when you sing them out, but when I have to just read the lyrics, I'm like seeing them straight. Nightmares diverge from what's true in the light. I always like rhyming between like place in between verses, you know what I mean? Have we looked at my song yet? Not yet, and you can. We can. Let me see. Okay, yeah, there's yours. There's a lot to go through, so I want to get through all of them. So we could do, I don't know how long your break is, but we could do yours next to make sure you're there for your break. So I was saying, I like it when there's a rhyme between the verses. So like Nightmares have merged and Nightmares diverged. I think that's cool. So thank you. These are my little electrolyte packets so I don't pass out. Well, I mean, it's not like I'll pass out, but it just makes me more comfortable. I think. Maybe it's a placebo. But it can't hurt, right? To have, like, a moderate amount of electrolytes. I like Lavender saying I rhymed too close to the sun. I like that phrase. Where it's like, yeah, if you do put in a little too... Like, if you're a little too overzealous about rhymes, it can make things a little clunky. Nightmares diverge from what's true in the light, distorting, replaying that day and the night. Nightmare is a night between sentences. Like, between two adjoining lines. Do I like that? Like, I like what it's saying because it's a poetic way of saying that, like, you know, the truth of the matter, which is what Edgeworth thinks happened is not what actually happened. And it's a really nice poetic way of saying that. Oh no, you have 5 minutes left. I'm sorry, I guess you're gonna have to see this later because I don't want to interrupt one thing and then go to another. No matter the date, it's that cold 28th. No matter the date, it's that cold 28th. That internal rhyme works better, and I actually like it because I love when specific things are referenced in songs. I love, like, details that feel real. And I know that's not a perfect rhyme, but it is close enough that it does count as internal. Let's see, no matter the date, it's that cold 28th when the earth shook and somebody screamed like a wraith. Was my childhood conscious condemned by that scream? Each night my subconscious expounds on the theme. That is nice. I like conscious and like, I know conscious and subconscious are the same pronunciation basically, but listen to it actually being said. Was my childhood conscious condemned by that scream? Each night my subconscious expounds on that theme. It just feels like a nice midpoint between in each of the lines. So even though it's not like a rhyme, it just, again, it just rhythmically works. It's like a midpoint. It's like a checkpoint, where it's like you hear it twice and you're like, yes. I like how my fiance also isn't entirely sure what the detail is because we don't talk about it obsessively. Like, ask me about anything in 2-4. Don't actually do that. I'll probably get it wrong. Yeah, it is fun when you're actually, like a character's speech pattern allows you to be a little out of the ordinary. Like being verbose or being simple or using, like, overly poetic language. You gotta, like, step into their shoes. Each night I'm there with what I can't undo. Hold on. Each night I'm there with what I can't undo. Again and again at the end of each day, each night despair, I'm a killer anew. This is what I mean, where, like, I can tell even without the music though that there is like a rest where that syllable should be. Sometimes it's just hard to tell without the music, but like I can tell there is something there. Each night despair, rest. I'm a killer anew. Or it's let's see. Each night I'm there. Each night despair. Yeah, rest. I'm a killer anew. Perfection's my shield and the price that I pay. What is Matt Ungart's credit card number? I used to know for some reason in 1-5 the murder victim's his ID number. I used to have that memorized for no reason. I know that Von Karma's Manfred Von Karma's bank account, like his bank password is 1 2. It was like it's like 0001 because I'm the best. Bye, Indie fan. Maybe we'll still be here in 2 hours. I lock away my feelings. I lock away my shame. I lock away the innocent and guilty all the same. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I like that because he's at this point he's still like under the influence of Manfred and who just wants to win and that's his thing. So like Edward still has to get over that. Um, I also like it when the bridge uses repetitive clauses, not clauses, like repetitive phrases. Um, the safe number is 1228. The safe number in 6-5 is 1224. I know that one. I lock away my feelings. I lock away my shame. I lock away the innocent and guilty all the same. Like that's a really cool line. I try to point my finger so it points away from me, but no slight or misdirection can erase the memory. Memory is a word that annoys me because if you sing it right, it can rhyme with a regular e. But then in this meter, it's memory, so you have to like do something that rhymes with all 3 syllables. I added that part because I heard someone complain that Edgeworth fans ignore the bad things he's done. Many such cases for complex characters that if they do something bad, the fans are like, "Oh no, that didn't happen. He's just like a sad, innocent bean." And I'm like, "No, you can't just erase the bad things that like torment him." Because everybody just wants their like, "Yeah, we hurt," their "Yeah, we hurt comfort" fanfic that's like 100,000 words. So they just always ignore like it's always like, oh, my hand was forced or something like that, as opposed to, oh, maybe I did do these bad things. You have to remember that Edgeworth is not like totally over this because in 2-4 a woman is like, if you say this I'll take my own life, and he's like, I don't care as long as you tell me the truth beforehand. Edgeworth is not a very good person until like the third game. That's real, by the way. The pistol heavy in my hands is viscerally real. I love the word visceral. Like, personally, I just love that word. I'd lie to think that the pistol heavy in my hands is viscerally real. I'd lie to think that such things never were. The proof is there, a broken body slumped against the steel. My father in his metal Lavender, you can't do this to me. I have to pronounce these words on stream. Um, I guess it ends with curse, sepulcher. This is unfair because Lavender's like a law student. The word visceral is visceral. It's true. Okay, there's a lot of words that like feel in the like when you say them, they feel the way they sound, and I love that. Like whisper sounds like a whisper. They like sound like what they mean. Is what I'm trying to say. Like they sound like what they mean, and it's awesome. Now I'm trying to think like if this was sung, the pistol heavy in my hands is viscerally real. I'd like to think that such things never were. The proof is there. My sepulcher. Sepulcher? Okay, the proof is there. My like instinct says the proof is right there, a broken body against the seal. Because slumped and broken, like broken body and slumped kind of are redundant to each other. You would choose one. The proof is right there, a slumped body on like on the on the floor. The proof is right there. Like you could say the proof is right there in the body the proof is right there in the broken body against the steel, something like that. Like you have to choose one. The proof is right there. You could even just say remove the fact this way. The proof is right there, slumped against the steel, I think is what I would do. My father in his metal sepulcher. I'm never gonna say that right. So no, don't try to fix this right. You don't have a prayer. My fate was sealed on Christmas night. I thought I was, and I must have been. And once again, each night I'm there. No hope of parole, reversal, acquittal, appeal, or remand. Each night exposes the stain on my soul, the stain on my life, the death close at hand. Ooh. Oh my gosh, hello, Lauren Rogers. Thank you so much for reviewing Even Into Hell. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I wrote and recorded it when I was 16, and it was the first song I wrote I was really proud of. That was really good for 16. I think that the reason a lot of really good songwriters, like their talent is more like, I think really good songwriters, it becomes more apparent when they're like 16, 17. I think that's why there's like the occasional like teen ingenue pop star, because when you're 16, 17, um you are finally able to like really express these intense emotions that like your little teenage hormones are making you feel all the time. um and I think when you get older you start getting self-conscious about it, and you start kind of couching it in more complex language, or you try to hide it. But when you're a teenager you just want to scream how you feel to the world, right? So you did a really good job at putting those types of emotions into words, like into a song. Um, like that was really like for 16, that's actually incredibly impressive, because that's the type of thing where like the real like flaws that I found were mostly grammatical stuff that you would learn just by continuing to do it as you got older, not something that is like a bigger thing to fix, right? Completely agree about "Show You Love You." It's different in the version that's going to be in the musical because they cut off because before they finish the sentence. That's nice. I would love to hear the larger instrumental with the male voice. You can even email that to me. I'd love to hear it and give my thoughts if that's okay. But yeah, I find like teenage songwriting very interesting because it's like right when you can express yourself, but before you start getting like, "Ooh, I was cringe when I was a teenager." I think that's why, again, there's like the teenage pop ingenues, uh, like like Taylor or Rodrigo. They were able to create such impactful songs at such a young age, and why I don't think that it's like very hard to recapture that. I This is like going to sound a little weird, but like when I write, like I'm writing a story, I love writing about teenagers because they can have these huge emotions, and the world is just different in their eyes, and I love being able to try and like capture that because I find it a fun challenge. And it's fun to write about a character like growing into their own, um because when you're an adult you can look back and be like, "Oh, that was stupid of me, that was cringe," but like, no, that felt real to you. Those things that you now consider cringe were real, and I think that's important. But Lavender, as for your song, I'm trying. From what I remember from your last song, this is actually a really big improvement. So I'm very happy with this. Again, like the only things are grammatical. You did a really good job using the language of the character to express the like. This is what I was saying. Like because it's internal, you could be more abstract. But even through the abstraction, you did a really good job at using imagery and specific language to give us like a very specific a very specific feeling, for an experience. Like I understand the experience of the character better now that you've put it into this song, which is what you're supposed to do. So very good. I do want to. Please don't make Discord come up. I don't think Discord will come up if I opened. Like if I open this, would I? No, that doesn't appear on stream. Okay. But IndieFan did send something, so I'm going to. Actually, I'll just drop it in the Google Doc from my phone. Why not, right? And I do want to get to his because he did send it a while ago, and I feel bad that I missed it when I was writing this out. So. Well, that when you're on your phone in the Google Doc, and then here in the Google Doc, I'm like, oh, who's that in the Google Doc? It's me. Okay. All right, headphones back on because it's a link. My computer is starting to suffer. There's the Jinx bean. You just like the bean. I love the bean. So it is a Team Fortress 2 musical. I don't know much about Team Fortress 2 other than it's funny. Like, it's really, when people talk about it, I'm like, okay, it's really funny. So hopefully this is funny.
So, you want to know the story of how I lost my medical license? No, you don't, but since you are here, it was a dark and stormy night. Not really, of course, but it sets the mood. A patient walks in with a dreadful blight. And I tell him to take a seat in the chair. That night his skeleton
I like the dissonance. I don't have the lyrics, so I'm just kind of going off what I hear. Any some lyrics?
So I began the operation late that night. I grabbed my scalpel until the light. Soon he asks me when I'll knock him out. Oops, I forgot. Puts the mask to his snout. Out.
This guy even took up accordion. I don't know for this, but yeah, he did take up accordion, which is really cool.
Here comes my
Okay, I have the sheet music.
I stole all his scalpels, his femurs, his tarsals, his nasals, his cranials too.
This has a very old Broadway vibe.
His bowels, with orders most foul,s that I thought that I would turn blue. I begged the wound ran from the hordes like the Huns, that chased me from Rottenburg home. All over I wander with thoughts to ponder, from town to town as I roam alone.
So I really like IndieFan's compositions because he knows a lot about world music. He studies ethnomusicology, which is awesome. And because of that, he uses a lot of really interesting techniques in his songs, and he's not afraid to make them no, I'm not listening to this. Okay. so IndieFan's not afraid to to use interesting techniques to help further the storytelling of his song, because he knows where these techniques come from and what they mean. So if I was looking at the sheet music, so I'm still laughing at the 1 second of Gangster's Paradise. Come on, sheet music. Hey, look, these streams are nothing if not entertaining. So the music is in 3/4. which like it has the like distorted waltz sound to it because of that. Like it's dissonant waltz, which is always fun. Can I review Gangsta's Paradise? You imagine if I reviewed like actual legendary rap songs on this? Just like, yeah, I think it could use a little bit of work. I think like New York State of Mind is like a solid 8.5 out of 10. I don't actually. It's obviously, yeah, I don't have like the lyrics just in front of me, but I have not watched the next normal revival pro shot. But yeah, Indies fan stuff is always interesting because I don't have the lyrics right in front of me. It's hard to gauge them, but the performance was great. It was a lot of fun. He is like a very good theater actor. It's kind of funny because when you hear him speak, he has like a very even tone, but like when he gets into the character, he can do whatever he wants, which is really cool. Too bad I don't know more about like composition, or else I'd have more to say. But I did really enjoy listening to it. So now, Keen sent in this Melancholy. The blinding light. Okay. And I'm not sure what this is about. Maybe it said it in the email. My memory isn't great. Life so manic, works too hard, uncertain future, I don't stop, senseless drama, hide my cards, forgot my jacket on your floor, you know you were wrong with my sorrow, calm down, take it slow, because I'm here, so. Interesting. There's no consistent rhyme scheme. They're rhymes, but they're not consistent. And like that always adds a feeling of like mania, where things are just unstable because what you expect isn't there, and then like it happens at a weird point. Like maybe it is in a pattern, it's just like not a normal one. This melancholy, what does it mean? This melancholy, what does it all mean? I remove all. I just think it's not in the meter. This melancholy, what does it all mean? Bruised up, happy with all its bad dreams, and nothing good ever comes easy, so my heart keeps bleeding. This melancholy. I actually like the slant of easy and bleeding. If you're moving fast enough, or if this song is like non-musically enough, you can get a pass on that. I've had worse slants. I've had dumber slants. Earlier in the stream, I talked about rhyming countless with around us. So the way you spin things around when no one's watching, you tell me I want a crown, push you in a coffin. Coffin and watching is another like just unique slant rhyme. Like sometimes it's like interesting just because it's like, oh wow, I've never considered those two words even being similar, but you're making it work. The way you spin it all around when no one's watching, you tell me I want to drown, push you in the coffin. I think Keen sent in a few songs before where they're very, like, I keep saying the word, abstract. I don't know exactly what they are, but they're very interesting. Because they sound more like a brain dump. Like I'm just trying to get something out. And those create interesting songs. I mean, a lot of really good songs were written in like 30 minutes. Somebody just having an emotion and they put it on paper, and it's like, it's awesome. I'm looking at my eyes right now, wondering like, oh, is my left eye slow? Yeah, I guess it is. I guess I still have that problem. Ophthalmologist in chat, do my eyes point in different directions? This melancholy, what does it all mean? Bruised up, happy with all its bad dreams, and nothing good ever comes easy, so my heart keeps bleeding. This melancholy, like a song like this is hard for me to know what to do with, because it's clearly not structured like a normal song that I would get, like, you know, that would be submitted to me. So it's tough to know what is the proper thing to say. Because if I was to clean this up, okay, they are looking the same direction. That's good. If I was to clean this up, it would like lose that edge. It would lose that visceral emotion. This melancholy, the future haunts me. Bruised up, happy. Bruised up, happy. One last look at me. Maybe that's like a syllable too extra. I don't know. The future haunts me. Bruised up, happy. Like if it was like one look at me, that might just roll off the tongue easier. Nothing good ever comes easy. So my heart keeps bleeding, this melancholy. I'll be honest, this isn't completely original. It's inspired by another song, but the lyrics there were so relatable to me, I can't help but take most of them. I'd be very interested to hear like the background of what this was about, because like this is raw enough that it's like I'm not sure what this is really about. Like I can guess, but this sounds like the type of song of these are the type of lyrics you put over like a really dreamy shoegazy alt rock song, where I'm like not supposed to know what it means, but it's an expression of yourself, and that's what matters. Sometimes they just need to sound good. We've talked about this before. Sometimes the songs just the lyrics just need to sound good with the music. Sometimes it's just words. Olu sent in a rewrite of "This Is the Thanks I Get," but for Horde Prime from She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. I watched She-Ra when I over like in 2020 during lockdown, and I was there like certainly lesbian pairings in cartoons can't get worse. And then Arcane happened, and I was like, oh, the monkey's paw curls once again. So I'm gonna stop saying things like that. What could I say? What could I say? Only I bear no flaws. My existence is built on perfection and its cause. It's very interesting watching, like it's interesting in a good way to watch Olo's grip on English improve over time. Like it's very cool. Where there are still some phrases where it's like, oh, that's unusual, but it works. Like to say my existence is built on perfection and its cause, that actually does work. Know your place, for so says the Lord, the creator of the galactic horde, who spreads a cord, is not self-absorbed, and yet never gets to hear out a passing word. Okay, so word is pronounced word. I see, like, again, I see where you got tripped up, but it's not said like that. This is also an example of, it really depends on the tone you're going for, but this is like rhyming too close to the sun. You do not need all those rhymes for Lord. Like the first two lines are okay, but then once you get to who spreads a cord is not self-absorbed, it feels forced. But it is cool to see you using words like that. Well, you see, I share my greatness in equal bit with every single obscured pit. If I have to, I will sacrifice my clones, my own faithful brothers, as examples to others. I am providing you peace. I purge the suffering away. You don't like purge something away, I don't think. Again, it's like I don't really use this word, so there's some words I just don't use very often, but like purge kind of implies that you're getting rid of it in and of itself. You could say like there are other words to use that you could match with away. I don't know why sweep comes to mind. You could sweep it away, blow it away. Because to kind of do away, like it implies it is moving. To purge something means that it is gone, and I think that's why it doesn't work. I am giving a purpose. I lead towards me when you go astray. That's too many syllables for what you're going for. Like it goes way past the meter. I don't like saying too many syllables because that's misleading. You're not counting syllables. It's just it's too much for the meter. It's like too many iambic feet or whatever. It's not iambic, but you know what I mean. Maybe it is. I am giving a purpose. I lead towards me when you go astray. It's like the line is just too long, I think. A favor here, a favor there. While what I do has no price, I expect listening without the need to speak twice. That's actually good. That works. And this is your gratitude. This is your gratitude. I guess if there's more formal speech. Yeah, I know it's a rewrite of the song. I'm just trying to, like, picture it. I'm trying to read it in my mind in that melody now. If you were doing, like, and this is thanks again, and this is your gratitude, it would sound a little weird because of where the emphasis lands. It's gratitude, not gratitude. Your Majesty, that does fairly suit me. What else would you say? Teacher, master, savior, ideal. Yes. Ideal doesn't really work. That's not like a thing you emphatically call someone. Like you can say you're the ideal, but it's not. You wouldn't say it the same way as like a title. Ages of work for this domain is not enough. Would you complain? You're walking towards the edge, or do you think you have my knowledge? So knowledge does end with ledge, but it is not said like that. It's said knowledge. So it wouldn't rhyme with edge. Well, no. I brought countless worlds, eternal light, a feat no one has achieved, but then disobedience arrives. Seems hatred is all that I received. This is the thing where it's like you're mixing the sentence structure around for the rhyme, which often doesn't sound good. Like it's a very forced way to write that sentence. But then disobedience arrives. It's just not how we would phrase that. It's hard to explain because it makes sense grammatically. Disobedience has arrived. Like that makes sense grammatically. It's just not a phrase that is often used or ever used. It's like I wish I had the words to explain why. I guess because it's not the most natural way to say it. It's much more natural to say, but then there's disobedience, or they start being disobedient. But then disobedience arrives. Maybe arrives would need to be changed. Like disobedience arises. But even then, it's just weird. I guess because disobedience just isn't. This is an interesting one. I would just change the sentence entirely at that point. Like, yeah, now you all disobey, or something like that. Yeah, that's probably the most natural way to say it is now you all disobey. Seems hatred is all that I've received is also just, you don't even need that line. I was there for you far and near, yes, awaiting some respect. For helping fractious minds, fixing any defect. So it's defect, not defect. You would say something is defective, but it's defect. And again, I know that's, like, it's a hard language. I mean, in general, it just, the reason I like, kind of am so past Wish rewrites, if you were making, like, an original song based on Wish, I think that's fine. But, like, we don't need a rewrite of This Is the Thanks I Get, because the instrumentals also suck. Like, this would not work for the character you're referencing. Like, why would he be doing, like, a jaunty little tune? Like, please write lyrics in a way that makes sense to you, not just replacing the lyrics of an existing melody with the same concept. Like, you don't have to rewrite This Is the Thanks I Get. It's not going to work for anything. You don't have to do, like, the same structure, the same concept, the same rhyme scheme, the same language. It's just tiring because you can be doing other things. You could really be expressing something you care about or are inspired by in ways that don't involve Wish. This Is the Thanks I Get could be about what it's about with like the best lyrics and it would still just be garbage in my opinion because it just doesn't sound good and it doesn't work with the story. Like I wish I could avoid this. I wanted to avoid this. It's the same like plot. It's the same plot as This Is the Thanks I Get. You're doing it with just a different coat of paint. And I think that's why I get tired of it. Yeah, it's Wish was 2 years ago almost. Would you say I put myself in shackles with these rewrites? Well, yeah, it's holding you back. You're just trapping yourself in the same, like awful song over and over and over again. And you're clearly inspired by other things, but like you don't have to write about an ungrateful ruler who becomes a villain. You just don't. Yeah, people have just replaced all the music for This Is Things Like That because the music is so bad. Like that was its real downfall is its music, not its lyrics. I think if it had like a really good instrumental track to it, people would care less about the lyrics. Like the people saying like, the rent line, like most people would not care if it didn't sound garbage. As Sideway says, a good movie can save a bad score, but a good score can't save a bad movie. It's true. Everything goes back to the script. When your script is garbage, everything else seems garbage too, because nobody else can work with it. And it's also just bad. Similarly, This Is the Thanks I Get is just bad. You're not going to fix that. Like, if Horde Prime sang this in the middle of She-Ra, I'd be like, what on earth is happening? It doesn't matter how good the lyrics are. Because I also believe good lyrics cannot save a bad instrumental. A good instrumental can save bad lyrics. There are a lot of really good sounding songs with bad lyrics. Why did Wish of all things become the subject of so many rewrites? Because it has the like... First of all, it had the popularity. And secondly, every now and then this happens where like a group of like there is a thing that people say, oh, it had potential. The thing about potential is it never has to be proven. For all I know, Wish at full potential is still bad. Maybe mediocre. Maybe Wish with everything going correctly in the development is still bad. That is completely possible that it could have happened in the alternate timeline where they had a good production cycle. I mean, like, Pocahontas was worked on by the A-team of the animation studio, and everything went according to plan as far as I'm aware, and it's still kind of just seen as okay. It looks fantastic, but it's considered okay. But Wish, because it's like, oh, it could have been good. Everybody has this like thought that it could have been good. And they already are being given something to work with, so they don't have to come up with their own ideas. They can just go from there and say, oh, see, I'm better than this bad thing, right? It makes you feel good too to be like, I did better than the bad thing. But the bar is so low, it's like not really worth bragging about. It's kind of like being 20 and beating a bunch of 8-year-olds at basketball. Like it's really not that good. And also, I have seen rewrites of Wish songs that are not better than the original. Because, again, just making the lyrics prettier does not make it better. In fact, sometimes the prettier lyrics sound more forced and sound worse than like the like quote unquote worse lyrics, right? The original lyrics. Yeah, Lion King was the B team made with no time or budget. That is true. That's why it kind of bugs me when people say like, oh, the production cycle. If the production cycle was better, sometimes it's not the production cycle. Sometimes it's just the people at the helm, and not even the helm. Sometimes it's like, sometimes it's not the producer. Sometimes it's the writer. The head writer may have been bad. Art like the artists can be bad. That is always an option when you're looking for blame. Maybe the artists were bad, though the writers were bad. Maybe they just didn't have a good idea to work with. Maybe the director was bad. Or like, their heart wasn't in it or whatever. Again, Wish could have had the perfect production cycle. Maybe it still would have just not been very good. And I think people are like afraid to say that. So it's easier to say like, oh, maybe if I rewrote this song, Wish would be fixed. No, you need to fix the entire script of Wish. Even adding in the Starboy, like that's not a fix. That's just a different concept. Like it bothers me when people say like, "Oh, I fixed the story of Wish." No, you just added a new concept, and also you have hindsight to work with. When you are actually there in the studio coming up with the idea, there is no hindsight. You're just going. You're flying blind. It could also be the communication relevant to the Clarkson video she just posted. Everyone needs to be on the same page. Everybody does need to be on the same page. That's true. But the idea that like, oh, if the songwriters had more information with the script, then it would have been good. It's a fallacy. Like, yeah, the communication thing, it's like, of course everybody should be on the same page. That's not like a take. That's just facts. It's like a really obvious fact. Yes, everybody should be on the same page when working on a creative project. But at the same time, everybody also kind of has to be working in their lane. I haven't watched her video, but in the server there was like a discussion about like how big of a contribution the songwriters have to the story. The songwriter should be writing the songs. The story writer should be writing the story. If the songwriters are adding anything, it's going to be really minor details. Because once you start saying, oh, the songwriter should have been involved with the story writing, well, why can't the lead animator be involved, right? The lead animator is adding a bunch to the presentation of the story. Why can't the lead animator make, sweeping changes to the script? You see what I mean? It's like, why should the order, why should like the writers be deferring to the piano player? Like it doesn't make sense. So the idea that Wish would be better if like the songs were better or like if the Starboy existed just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, you worked together in your separate roles. That's just how any job with more than one person works. I have a friend who's in construction, and he's a concrete cutter. He does not pour the concrete as far as I'm aware. He doesn't work with bricks. He doesn't build with wood. He cuts concrete. That's his job. That is what he was trained to do, and that's what he's best at. The story writer needs to communicate with the songwriter what the actual story is. Like, well, yeah, of course. Again, this isn't like a take. The story writer should say, here is the script. Make songs that like enhance it. Don't change it. Because if you're like being thrown around by the whims of the songwriter, then who else are you being thrown around by the whims of? Like, you can't just keep going back and changing things over and over and over again because one person said that like, oh, this would be a good idea. Because that's how you get ideas, guys. You never want to be the ideas guy. And that's what the Wish rewrites empower is ideas guys. Ideas guys are saying, well, I have all the hindsight in the world, and if everything was in my like perfect ideal creative space and production and development cycle, I would have done this and it would have been great. But like that's just not the case always. I think that like a fixed Wish would be boring. Yeah, Ashman enhanced The Little Mermaid. He did not change major story beats. Like oh, you can say, oh, but he gave Sebastian the Trinidadian accent. Like, okay, what does that change, right? Like, he's still fulfilling the same the same plot points. He just has an accent now, and it helps with the music. But it doesn't like fundamentally change anything. Also, before we continue this conversation, I really have to use the bathroom, so I'm going to mute my audio input and I don't know, hang tight. All right. After your break, can you please look at my submissions? I can. Well, we're getting there. Okay. I had to go on my like angry rant about people, kind of staying in their lane in a creative production. Yeah, bathroom break is over. I try to be fast. There are people who can stream for like 4 hours without using the bathroom. Yeah, the discussion does relate to people who can like think they can like fix drawings or characters or stories because again, you have hindsight. You have hindsight. And you also have what's already there. You have something to work off of. It's cheating. Yeah, Syndicates you were actually next. So, there you go. So, this I saw in the server. You were like, you posted your submission an hour ago. Sorry, I'm going through the. I got a lot of submissions. Listen. Let me see what you sent me. But I am going to go through this. I am working so hard. Oh my goodness. Where did you send the submission? Okay, where'd you post your submission? Was it in the server? But, okay. Rhymes without reason are never in season. I've heard it often said, not to diminish the blood we've bled, rhyming snack you ate with evacuate. Real. hard work, Aster Workmaster. Rhymes matched with reason are always in season, a fruit always fresh. When it's effective, the flesh is so sweet it meshes so neatly. B-side is always coming with the rhymes I've like never considered in my life. Sure, you could cart off and freewheel. Oh, you're so bold. Oh, how clever. But that's not how guys with esprit wheel. Ask them, they'll say that's not how we wheel. Do you want me to ping you? Yeah, ping me, and I'll see it. Yeah, this is very meta. So sure, it's a thrill rhyming thrill with gorilla, but until a reason is found, you can get on stage with a pen and a page, but you're never gonna get around. Where are the smiles? Where are the cheers? Where are the eyes? Where are the ears? For years I've been lugging and tugging away, and yet nobody. Where's the awards? Where's the acclaim? Newsmen and monuments reading my name. A shame I've been reeling and spieling away, and yet nobody. Yep, this is my peak. Yes, this is my best. The fall is soon to come. See me in a week, run down, recessed. Won't I look dumb? Where's the crowd? Where's my mother? Oh, I'll try another day. But I've been working away, all to say nothing to nobody at all. It's a very interesting, very meta song. And I've never met a song I didn't like. And it's interesting. Oh, these are two different songs. I'm sorry. Like these are two songs. I mean, it is interesting though, reading this from you of all people, because like last time we did a submission stream, we talked about how like the next step for you is to like really find something to latch onto and write about, because once you've really like mastered rhyme like this, the next point is the emotional aspect of songwriting. The second one starts after a round. I mean, they almost do just like work together. Because it's like I've been saying, the like your technicals are so good, and over time, it's like I'm not trying to make you be discouraged. It's a really good thing that like you have a foundation so strong, because when you start tapping in to these more emotional concepts, you will have something really like you have something so expansive to pull from that you will be like far less intimidated. I think the idea of letting go, I think will be your hardest, like will be the hardest thing for you, is just letting go and saying this doesn't need to be perfect. And that's kind of what you're saying here in the song, is that you can rhyme all you want, but if you're not doing it with purpose, if you're doing it like just to show off, it's not going to to like capture anybody's heart. And oh, I see, but you're never gonna get around. There should be a space there. And again, like, you're so young, it really shouldn't be a concern. Like, to have a foundation this strong at this age is really important, because you have like all the time to experience life. And it's like I was saying with Lauren's song, that when she was about your age when she wrote that, and you start having those big feelings, like even the frustration that's coming through here, the frustration, like, that's real frustration. And I feel that like this is a song that you've written where I like actually feel like, oh, you're trying to say something, and you're like, even if it's angry, you're frustrated with something, or you were portraying frustration, and I feel it. And you don't have to like be afraid of thinking like, again, oh, is this cringe? Like, no, just write it. I was listening to a song available by the National, and I was looking at the lyrics and on Genius, and it said that Matt Derringer, he didn't like the song anymore. He's like, oh, it's really petty and mean, so he doesn't like it. I'm like, no, that's a good thing. You were in a situation where you felt really confused and upset, so you wrote something petty and mean, but it's like a real expression of how you felt. That's good. I don't want syndicates. I don't want you to be upset about anything, but like inevitably you will be upset about something in the future. And next time you feel like that, just write whatever you want down on paper. I don't care if it rhymes or not. Just write exactly how you feel, and like I think that's gonna be really important for you. I think you're going to learn a lot from doing that. Okay. Okay, so this was. Oh, Daisy. Okay, this was your like musical you want to write about Barbados. It's very cute. Let me. I don't mean cute in like a demeaning way. I mean cute in like a, oh, that's so sweet. Okay. Tell me of your world, and it's. She says it's an unfinished draft. That's fine. A draft is better than not having anything. I remember I read something once. The phrase "the purpose of a first draft is to exist." Like, that's the most important thing. So many people, they want their first drafts to be perfect, and there's no point. The purpose of it is to exist. Nobody's first draft is perfect unless you're, Taylor Swift writing Love Story because she was told no when she was 16. And writing it in 30 minutes on her bedroom floor. If you're not that, no first draft is perfect. So, welcome to Barbados, where your fantasies come true. We got fresh food, fresh drinks from every coast. Did I mention the folks are friendly too? I like the subtle rhyme between folks and coast. I don't know if that you meant to do that, but it is there. I don't mind the harbor. Is that Harvard? I don't mind the Harvard politics. That's mostly a pile of parlor tricks. That's actually very clever, like double rhyme. Harvard politics and pile of parlor tricks. By the time we're through, you can tell me of your world too. But that's up to you. Because this is a draft, and there's a lot of like room to add things, obviously. I would say between these two, add some imagery. The good Caribbean imagery, really like draw people in, and even you can go with like something that people aren't familiar with about Barbados. Like, they have the Caribbean imagery in mind. Maybe you could like subvert that. That'd be cool. And then you could do Don't Mind the Harbor Politics, because it's like a funny aside. Wait, where am I and why am I here? Everything looks new, soulful, vibrant, blue skies clear. Wait a minute, who are you? I like, this was like clearly meant to be on a stage with the character singing, so it's hard for me to judge it. Like obviously this is vague, but if there's a character there in a scene, it's fine. Um, I think it's like very very sweet so far. Don't mind me, stranger. I'm no threat. I'm as close to a friend as you can get. I like that. Like I'm an acquaintance. I'm not a friend, but as close as you can get to a friend. But enough about me. Just tell a tale from the sea. What's it like to be free? It's interesting. I'd be curious what like the story of the song is you're trying to go for. I think that would help me kind of give you some guidance. So like Daisy's concept here, from if I'm remembering correctly from the server, is that she wants to make a musical about Barbados, so people don't just think about it like stereotypically or just think about Rihanna. That they have like a more full understanding of the country, which I think is really cool. Sorry, yeah, this is really cool so far. There's some really impressive wordplay, um, and I could definitely gather the emotion behind it. Like I could definitely tell what it is and hold it. So sorry, I'm just stretching my back and seeing if because the latency and was waiting for a response. Story is a princess washed onto the shore of Barbados. Oh, that's so fun. And she meets the other main character. Oh, that's so cute. That's so sweet. Yeah, you could post another song. I'm going to ask my fiance to get me some more water. It's gonna be a little sadder, so heads up. Oh. Also, the server there was talk about the concept of bad faith criticism. It's an interesting term, bad faith, good faith criticism. I think it's like over it's misused. And somebody just said bad faith criticism is like when a reactionary grifter on YouTube is like, "Oh, this is bad because it's not my politics," whereas good faith is somebody who genuinely like wants to say what's best for it, like what they think is best for the product in question. Um, and it's an interesting discussion because like it's not about what counts as bad. It's like what counts as both, right? When we're going beyond the extremes, like what counts as both. I think it is a common fallacy for people to be like, "Oh, only get criticism from people you really trust and not people who are like biased against the work or something." For like, "Oh, this isn't my genre," like those types of biases. I think it's actually healthy to get it from people who even aren't like the nicest or who like because sometimes you could get like really mean criticism, but like there's like stuff in there that's actually really valuable. All right, posted. Okay. This is my I Want song for the main characters Lonnie and Tamara. Princess Lonnie is suffering from depression after the loss of her mother and unborn sister. Oh. She has shut everyone out and is struggling to come to terms with the fact that she needs therapy. Everyone is begging her to go to therapy, but she refuses because she does not want to be seen as weak. So in her vulnerable moment, she wants to know who is sharing her struggle and a moment of silence to let her grieve alone. Meanwhile, Tamara, from another country, is also suffering depression, but she is forced to press forward. For 9 years, she survived the streets alone, but my girl is in need of a break. As the granddaughter of a local storyteller, she has to bring hope to the people, as it is tough times. This is set in the 1920s in Bolivia and Barbados. So she has to tell stories to entertain the people and bring them hope. However, they are so rude and cruel to her because they demand of her. She needs a moment of silence to have a break and let her do more than just telling stories. Those are pretty long. I mean, not super long. It's just a lot of lines. Is the better word. Yeah, because only 247 words. It's just a lot of lines. Oh, I don't know if you guys heard my fiance there. She's getting me some water. Rare fiance cameo. So I. Hey. Thanks. Oh. You hear. Okay. I'm left to roam these halls again, these empty walls, my only friends, and in their place are painted faces of memories. The last two lines. That's a cool way to talk about paintings, like photographs, portraits. That's the word. Yeah, fiance cameo. She was the best. Each stroke and blot, do they reach a line? I read their thoughts. Do they read mine? Are they aware that she's not here? Every day it feels the same, yet they say I'm not to blame. But every night I come to wonder if there's someone somewhere yonder to share my pain. A moment of silence, that's all I'm asking for. I know that's asking much, but once I have it, I'll ask no more. That's really good. Actually, like, again, I love the simple language and how it's being used in a way that's distinct. Because you can use simple language and just make it, like, worthwhile. Because you can use, like, really cliche lines and it's forgettable, but if you use the words and just put them in an interesting context and order, not sentence order, please keep the sentence order the same, but like if you put them in an interesting context, it can be a lot more memorable. A moment of silence, what more can my heart bear? I close my eyes and wish that she's still here. That's interesting. For you, in your accent, does bear and hear rhyme? I'm curious. Is it both eh? Because are they aware that she's not here? Like, bear and aware rhyme, so I'm assuming eh is the vowel being used on here. I mean, obviously, if the characters are speaking with that accent, it's correct. Oh, that's interesting. It's always interesting seeing how like things rhyme differently in different dialects, just because the vowels aren't they're not always lined up. Yeah, it's fascinating. That's also why I didn't catch wonder and yonder, because if there's the lack of distinct, like, because sometimes, like, in dialects and accents, sometimes vowels merge or split. An example is in like received pronunciation British. There's no split between what I would say as trap and bath, or not that. It's like there's like a trap bath split, or it's like where they have it and like I don't, where it's like trap and both, like they have this different a that they use. It's very interesting. It's not dissonance. It's just a distinction. It's just how the language evolved. Because dissonance implies it's like doesn't sound right, I mean, it just sounds how it sounds. Yeah, a and ah. Like in some dialects, that distinction doesn't really exist. Like sometimes my fiance teases me a little bit because it doesn't come out unless I'm like really. It's funny. It comes out when I'm like scared. Like if I feel like I need to defend myself, the New York accent does slip out. Um, but if I say a word with like an ah, it sounds different than when she says it, and she grew up in Massachusetts. This is fascinating. How like a more like a Massachusetts dialect, you know, they have the joke of like a strawberry frosted and a nice regular, because like the like ah turns into ah. It's interesting. But yeah, so far I think this is really good because you're using again the language that is simple and conversational, but in a way that feels distinct and memorable. You know, the continue you mention the portraits, and then in the next stanza you're continuing that imagery, but you don't beat it to death. Like then you move on, and then it's the character who, this is what I want, right? But they're not just saying it bluntly, I want this, in a way that feels forced. They're saying it in a way that feels real, because of how you phrase it as like a moment of silence. That's all I'm asking for. It like sounds very exasperated, as opposed to I'm asking for a moment of silence. That sounds like too casual, or not casual, like like not correct. It's just too exact. It's too textbook. I know that's asking much, but once I have it, I'll ask no more. It's nice. It's just, I get it. I totally get it. And then Tamara, I tell tales, I help them cope, and without fail, I give them hope. That might be on the nose. I tell the tales, I help them cope, and without fail, I give them hope. But still so empty, they want more from me. I think there's better imagery that could be used. You could say something about, you know, I know that storytelling is verbal, not you're not like literally writing down in a book, but you can say like I finished the chapter and they want another, you know, something to that effect. I think like just one little metaphor would really bring that stanza to life. I'm left with shoes too big to feel, nothing to lose, take in the thrill. I can't be less than what they expect. Nothing to lose. Take in the thrill feels a little out of place. There's a lesson every day, you always know what to say. But if the truth's not what they want, then who knows what would happen if I were to stray. And that's another, like, again, you're tapping into an interesting concept here, which is that somebody who is a storyteller and is expected to give hope, what happens when they tell the truth and it's not what they want to hear. They could get angry even though they're kind of looking to this person for guidance. They don't actually want the truth. They want to be happy. They just want to hear what they want to hear. They don't want to hear what's actually happening. A moment of silence, after all said and done, can I be a bit selfish just this once? I like that. And maybe one day I'll feel the sun ray. I think sun's rays is what you're going for. And start anew. Oh, you're still writing this part. I'll see your face in the same place when it was just us two. Yeah. But what you have so far is really strong, I think. Like, it's a really strong foundation. Because you've tapped into the main struggle of the characters in a way that feels real. A part of me, I don't want to make assumptions, but a part of me wonders if when you were writing this, did you plan for that to be these conflicts, or did they just come to you as you formed the characters? Because I am of the opinion that you start with a couple basic setups for your characters and then let them develop into what they will be thematically, and then you go back and then you see what it is. And I feel like you did that here. where you had the concepts of the characters in their base forms, and then you realized what they would be struggling with as you wrote. It was really good. Yeah, they just came to you. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, it's you didn't force it; it just is, and that's my favorite type of like thing in writing. So my mom just texting me asking about we're looking at wedding venues soon. So yeah, you tapped into something. You went for what naturally would be felt by these characters. Yeah, just let it take you away. Exactly. Um, when I'm like writing a story, that's what I like to do. Is just let the characters kind of work on their own. Where you are taking it's empathy. It's empathy is what it is. It's understanding that people in these situations will feel a certain way. Yeah, Aster Mom Masters. um, yeah, that's what I like. My favorite types of stories are the ones where it's like, oh, it just came to me, because that usually means that this is something real that you've felt or seen other people feel, and it like struck you and inspired you. And it's a real story, not like a real person, but like it just feels it's a real like experience, I guess. It's hard to explain. It's not just mom master, yeah. It's not just um it's not just a real person's tale. Like because like that's it feels real even if it's not. I don't know how else better to say it. It's a real person would feel like this in this situation. And that's, I think, when you really find what you want to write about. I remember, years and years ago, I'd be floating around like the Pixar rules of writing, and the thing that always stuck with me from that, I don't even remember most of the others. There were two that I remember. One, write the whole thing and then find the themes and then rewrite it. Second, when your character is stuck, think of everything that they wouldn't do in that situation, or like that wouldn't help them or something. I've been writing this for 3 years. I mean, it's great. Like, just letting it kind of stew and develop. Don't do it for like too long. Like, eventually, you are doing what you have to do while you're finally writing it down. Um, but like, it's clearly a story you really want to tell, which is, the best stories are the ones that somebody you can tell they really wanted to talk about this. This really spoke to them as much as they wanted to speak to you. And that's the type of motivation that you want to see in somebody writing, because those are the people that will put aside the technicalities and the perfection, that like they move past the perfectionism, because they're like, I have to tell this, I don't care if it's perfect or not, I have to say this. Sorry, I'm still in my back. This is how you can tell I'm closer to 30 than I am to 20. Now, there are non-original submissions as well. I know, Rick, I know you have your song, but it was I don't really, I wasn't interested in going over it because it's very, very simple, and there was nothing I could really say. I usually try to develop the theme and overall story at the same time. The themes are pretty important to me. I think that writing for theme, make it exist. You can make it perfect later. I think writing for theme can lead you astray because other themes will pop up. Like, I'm writing a fanfic now. I did not expect it to start exploring the concept of dual identity, but it has. And that's become the heart of the story. Yeah, that was really cool. There was one here. Okay. Somebody in the server sent in a Rangers Apprentice musical song. I don't know what Rangers Apprentice is. Somebody filled me in. Hold on, I'm gonna search this up. series of fantasy novels from 2004. It's a YA book series. Okay. I've like heard of it in passing. I'm surprised I didn't read it. Like I didn't know people who read it because this seems like it was big when I would have been reading those books. Interesting. Because it was published during the 2000s, so like you would think it would have established itself well enough that by the early 2010s we would have all been reading it. Yeah, that's cool. Context from earlier parts of the musical. Ranger is a profession. Halt is Will's teacher. Horace and Evelyn are Will's friends who are all traveling together. Wargles are monsters. Halt told Will to go home, but on the way, Will sees a group of Wargles, and following them might lead to more information to help defeat them. This is me just being brain rotted, but Wargle is the Japanese name of Braviary from Pokemon, so that's what's in my head right now. What would Halt do? Halt impression. You can't rush in. You think it through, young man. A ranger uses both their eyes and ears. You must be sure to double check your plan and never run away from what you fear. But how can I not run from Wargle might? I'm just a small apprentice orphan boy. The beasts I face will surely win this fight. I can't protect all that they will destroy. They'll march right through the land I love. The place I took an oath to save from harm. No chance to grow up with the girl I love. No chance to build a family and a farm. I'm not prepared to do what I've been taught. I'm not as ready as I first thought. Okay. Interesting. This is a little like this is where the language gets too simple. Like this is the other kind of side of it where it's like nothing is truly like standing out. Like it's the technicals are correct, but it's you got to do a little more than that. I think. I don't know how many songs you've written before, so like I don't know the context of like how harsh I should be. Probably not that harsh. Um, like when the character starts saying I'm just blank, it's like that's usually your sign that you need to rethink things because I really feel like the characters shouldn't just be saying thinking to themselves, "Oh, I'm just this." I don't know if I would rhyme taught and thought. I think it's fine. It's just it's just like passe. It's like a little boring. It's almost like this is what I'm saying about like if you fix a thing that's sometimes when you fix a thing it's only going to be boring. Reads a little like if Epic had proper grammar. And I don't want to be too mean. But it just feels very on the nose. Gotta focus on the Wargles now and keep them out of here. Gotta slow them down, but I don't know how. Fight back despite the fear. No Halt around to keep me safe. No Alice to keep me calm. Just my mind, my eyes, and my ears to keep things from going wrong. I can't decide where to go from here. Do I follow the Wargles now or disappear? I can't. Like the way this is written. Decide where to go from here. I got the weight of the world in my hands. Got to make the biggest decision in all. Like to say like, oh, I got to make the biggest decision in all the lands. It's so forced. It's so like it doesn't feel right. It feels like a very just play by play of this type of language. I don't even know like when this is taking place, so I don't know if this is archaic or not. But to say like in all the lands is very archaic. How can I save my home when I'm all alone? Like that's another. It's just like I've seen this rhyme many times, and there's nothing interesting being used to make that rhyme feel less cliche. No, I can't afford to be afraid. My friends all count on me, so I'll push ahead to keep them safe and keep my country free. I'll go alone and send them home to save them from this harm. Can't let them fight this fight with me and get caught in the storm. Storm and harm are not a rhyme. Yeah, Pocket, it is very direct. but it's like too direct, where the character's just saying exactly what's happening. It's the whole idea of like show don't tell, which I know that in the form of musicals is a little more like gray, like it's a little more, that line's a little more blurry, because it's like, well, the character should say to an extent what they're going through, because they're just, there's like a level of conversationalness to it, but also it can't be, language this simple and just kind of dry is the word I'm thinking of. They're all counting on me to succeed. Horace and Evelyn expect me to lead. How can I give them all what I need? I can't decide where to go from here. Do I follow the work goes now or disappear? I can't decide where to go from here. I got the weight of the world in my hands. Got to make the biggest decision in all the lands. How can I save my home when I'm all alone? You're not alone. Own. Though the threat's full blown. Like, that's a weird. It's just so forced. Like, would you say, though the threat is full blown? We can hold the weight of the world in our hands. We can foil all the evil plans. Like, also, it's just evil plans. It's very like juvenile to say, childish. And we'll save our home because we're not alone. We're not alone. 5.5 minutes. You can make this last 5.5 minutes. That's impressive. There are not that many lyrics here. You'd be singing this very slowly. I like that there's chords included. That's cute. The name Evanland kind of tickles me. I think it's funny sounding. Full blown what? The threat is full blown. The threat is full blown. So it's like not a way you would say that. It just feels like a bunch of cliches strung together. I'm not learning anything about these characters and how they operate. It's just washing over me. Yeah, maybe there's insane instrumental breaks, and that's what makes it 5.5 minutes. It's like 2 minutes. It's like 30 seconds of singing and then 2-minute instrumental break. 30 seconds and then like a 64 bar solo. Like I don't I don't like to assume that the person sending in the songs is young, because that, first of all, could be wrong and I could just be insulting them. or I would be insulting the other younger people that have sent in really good stuff. But like, this does feel like a very inexperienced song. Take a page from Jeff Williams and shred out of nowhere. I don't know if that would help. It would be funny in this context. This does have a bit of like a Jeff Williams vibe. Like, if he had no idea what he was writing about at all, it would probably sound like this. And I don't want to be mean. It's just hard to tell people where to go when it's like, oh, you're starting here. You're clearly just starting out. So it's, where do you go from here? I would just listen to other songs at this point. Listen to songs and really analyze them. Really think about what works and what doesn't. And I don't just mean other musical theater songs. I mean like real pop songs or like other contemporary songs that are telling stories. Because I think that success in musical theater is an intersection of those two things. It is mixing together contemporary pop with the conversational storytelling and the narrative of it all. So I think that is all the original submissions. I did get a few non-original submissions. Do I want to go through them? I've been streaming for 2.5 hours, so it is a tough call, because it is a Sunday and I do have to clean and get things done, because that's the joy of being a grown person. Lauren Rogers did send in the more orchestrated version of Even into Hell. Um, I do not know if she wants me to play that on stream. I figured out how to write music back in high school by just staring at scores and annotating them all day in class. I would just write lyrics in class. I wrote some good songs in class. And the teachers would always say to my parents, they would be like, oh, she doesn't look like she's listening, but she always is. And I think that's hilarious because it's that would check out. But yeah, I don't know if Lauren wants me to play it on the stream, and like I would like to respect her wishes on this. She said that the instrumental did end up being close to Taylor Swift's Haunted, and of course, when you reference Taylor Swift to me, I'm just like, well, yes. I'm obsessed with her for a reason. I mean, as is, I am starting to feel like I'm hitting the wall. You can ask, but I really think I'm hitting the wall here. I if I didn't have the medical issue, if I didn't have the vertigo, I could probably do this longer. But I'm starting to feel sick, and I'd rather not be sick on a stream. I mean, I have been getting a lot better. I'm really impressed with myself for going 2.5 hours, but I probably am gonna cut it here. I'm really glad this microphone is working. It was great spending time with all of you. Great submissions today. And have a great day.